Melissa was set to share a wild glucagon story, but life had other plans. Diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 1984, she survived 3 seizures that all happened on Friday the 13th, and now she's facing something even bigger. Here we are, back together again, friends, for another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. When you place your first order for AG1 with my link, you'll get 5 free travel packs and a free year's supply of vitamin D. Drink ag1.com/juicebox. Don't forget to save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. All you have to do is use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. That's JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% at CozyEarth.com. If you're newly diagnosed, check out the Bold Beginnings series. Find it at JuiceboxPodcast.com up in the menu, in the featured tab of the private Facebook group, or go into the audio app you're listening in right now and search for Juicebox Podcast Bold Beginnings. Juicebox is one word, Juicebox Podcast Bold Beginnings. This series is perfect for newly diagnosed people. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Dexcom G7, the same CGM that my daughter wears. Check it out now at Dexcom.com/juicebox. Today's podcast is sponsored by the insulin pump that my daughter has been wearing since she was 4 years old, Omnipod. Omnipod.com/juicebox. You too can have the same insulin pump that my daughter has been wearing every day for 16 years.
Hi, my name's Melissa. I was diagnosed in 1984 with type 1 diabetes and excited to speak with you all on my experiences so far.
Wow, 1984.
Yes.
Now, when people hear 1984, they immediately think the book, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's the only thing that jumps into people's heads. But the book was written much earlier. Isn't that fascinating?
Oh, much earlier.
Yeah, yes. Now, how old were you in 1984?
I was 9.
When you were diagnosed, was it a shock to your family? Do you remember anything? Did they ever share any stories with you?
It was a fairly big shock. Luckily, Mom was a nurse, so she recognized some of the signs and got me in to be tested pretty quickly.
Did you never go to a hospital?
I did. I was tested through the primary care physician just with a quick urine test where Mom worked. And then he immediately sent me to the pediatrician who sent me to the hospital.
Oh, pretty quick, especially for the 80s.
Yeah.
Now, here you are, 1984, type 1 diabetes. The people who are helping, right? Doctors are like, oh, things are so modern now.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But you look back on that time and you think, oh, my gosh, like, ooh, I don't usually ask this so soon, but how is your health now today?
It's fairly good. No major complications, just like some proliferative retinopathies, non-proliferative. So it's been staying pretty stable.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, going through a cancer scare right now. I had a biopsy done yesterday.
Oh, that's what you meant. So when we were, I don't know that. Melissa, we have to let people know that I didn't know that because it sounds like I'm like, oh, how about a book and everything? And they're like, oh, lady's got cancer and you're over here dicking around about a book. So you signed up for one completely different idea. But then as we got on, you said, look, I signed up to tell a glucagon story, but you know, I think you said the shit's hit the fan since then, and I'm willing to talk about anything. I didn't know what that meant. Usually I figured that means you kicked a bum out of your house who was pretending to be your kid's father or something like that. But oh my gosh. So, well, let me ask my questions, then I'll get back to this, okay?
Okay.
Through your, 94, 2004, 14 to 40 years, diabetes?
Yep, in October.
Wow, congratulations. Through those 40 years, do you know what your A1Cs were like? Is that how you tracked your health?
Not really. I did track A1Cs from the beginning. I don't know, probably 8s or 9s the first couple of years. Then I got into that teenage rebellion stage and got up to 13s at some point. But By the time I graduated high school, I was back down to high sevens.
Okay.
I had my first 7.0 as a freshman in college.
Were you trying harder? Did care change?
I didn't like the food.
Was the food terrible?
The food was terrible.
What was your first insulin? Were you regular NPH?
I was regular NPH.
Okay.
And I was regular NPH up until I was on a pump.
Which was how much after your diagnosis?
I was put on a pump in 93.
You were regular in NPH for 9 years.
Yes.
So even when faster acting insulins were available, you didn't change to them. Do you know why?
I do not know. It was just never suggested.
That simple.
Yep.
Yeah. And an 8 or 9 A1C for you then wasn't terrible, right?
Correct.
Right. You're doing great. You got that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Here's Melissa. She's one of our star patients. She's so consistent in the 8s and what was their goal back then? I wonder if I can find that out. ADA goal for A1C in, let's say, 1987. Let's see if our ChatGPT knows that. It was less than 7 back then for most adults with diabetes.
Right.
Okay.
But I think my doctors were just, don't die.
Well, lovely. Do you ever remember getting any actionable advice from them?
No, I don't. Honestly think that my pediatric endo reminded me of a mad scientist when I went in to see him. So.
Oh, I had a English teacher like that. Tell me how.
He just had the hair that was white hair that was all over the place, standing straight up. And I just never really connected with him.
Interesting. Do you remember him trying?
I remember as a 10, 11-year-old getting questions of, do you drink? Do you smoke? Are you sexually active?
Oh, the playbook. Gotcha.
Yeah.
How about your parents? Were they involved?
They were involved in that they gave me the support I needed, but I was always the kid who, I got it. Don't worry about it. So when it came to, I want to try something, like as far as ice cream sundae or something, it was, you can try it, see how it goes. If you don't like your blood sugars, we'll do something different next time.
But what would you have really changed different? Like what did adjustments
It
wasn't like we would try insulin differently. It was, we would try a different ice cream or a different amount of ice cream or something like that.
Right. Exactly.
I see. But they weren't they weren't mad scientists. They weren't trying to figure things out. No.
Mom was a general nurse. I mean, she did med surg for years and then went into an office nursing. So she really just dealt with type 2s at work. The type 1 kid was a little out of her wheelhouse.
Interesting. Okay. So you keep these, your A1Cs the way you said. You get to college. You don't like the food. It's great. You're like, I don't like the food. By the way, where along this line did you need glucagon?
In high school.
Okay. I think I can blend these two stories together. When I ask you about this, you had to use it a number of times. Is that correct?
Yes. In high school, there were between sophomore and senior year, there were 4 or 5 Friday the 13th. And of those, I went to school, one of them, that was the last one. And one of them was I was out due to a car accident. Everything else was glucagon related.
Wait, are you trying to tell me, Melissa, that you had seizures only on Friday the 13th?
In high school, yes.
How is that possible?
I have no idea.
That's insane. All right. Now, look, you're an adult now. I'm going to ask you to look back, right? You weren't leaning into the Friday the 13th thing?
No, it never occurred to me beforehand. It was after high school all finished. And actually, the neighbor sent over a stuffed animal that Friday, the day after the Friday the 13th, that the ambulance didn't come to the house.
Wait. Oh, because they were like, congratulations on not calling an ambulance on Friday the 13th?
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
We lived in a small town in the middle of nowhere, so the neighbors were very observant.
That's hilarious. I feel like they had to go to the store to buy the doll. Like there was a whole thing. that happened. They were like, oh, so for years in a row, you'd have a God's honest seizure, or what would happen? My daughter is 20 years old. I can't even believe it. She was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 2, and she put her first insulin pump on when she was 4. That insulin pump was an Omnipod, and it's been an Omnipod every day since then. That's 16 straight years of wearing Omnipod. It's been a friend to us, and I believe it could be a friend to you. Omnipod.com/juicebox. Whether you get the Omnipod DASH or the automation that's available with the Omnipod 5, you are going to enjoy tubeless insulin pumping. You're going to be able to jump into a shower or a pool or a bathtub without taking off your pump. That's right, you will not have to disconnect to bathe with an Omnipod. You also won't have to disconnect to play a sport or to do anything where a regular tube pump has to come off. Arden has been wearing an Omnipod for 16 years. She knows other people that wear different pumps, and she has never once asked the question, should I be trying a different pump? Never once. Omnipod.com/juicebox. Get a pump that you'll be happy with forever. You can manage diabetes confidently with the powerfully simple Dexcom G7. Dexcom.com/juicebox. The Dexcom G7 is the CGM that my daughter is wearing. The G7 is a simple CGM system that delivers real-time glucose numbers to your smartphone or smartwatch. The G7 is made for all types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2, but also people experiencing gestational diabetes. The Dexcom G7 can help you spend more time in range, which is proven to lower A1C. The more time you spend in range, the better and healthier you feel. And with the Dexcom Clarity app, you can track your glucose trends, and the app will also provide you with a projected A1C in as little as 2 weeks. If you're looking for clarity around your diabetes, you're looking for Dexcom. Dexcom.com/juicebox. When you use my link, you're supporting the podcast. Dexcom.com/juicebox. Head over there now.
Seizure. The first one was, I was 15? So sophomore year. And apparently I got up from bed, sat at the kitchen table for breakfast, and went into a seizure.
No different than any other day, as far as you know?
As far as I know, no.
All right. Well, hold on a second. In the Christian tradition, both Friday and the number 13 have separate negative connotations. Friday is considered unlucky because it's believed that Jesus Christ was crucified on a Friday. That's pretty hard on Fridays, but okay. A day now known as Good Friday. Additionally, the number 13 is, hold on a second.
Spanish Inquisition.
Wait, what else do you know? Hold on. Number 13 is seen as unlucky because there were 13 people present at the Last Supper.
Oh, okay. Well, there's also like the Spanish Inquisition, all the like beheadings and stuff from.
So you've looked into this too, I'm guessing.
Well, my husband is a fanatic around crazy stuff.
I thought you were going to say flake when you were like, I'm like,
give me a hard time about being Christian.
That's fun. So the Last Supper with Judas, of course, the betrayer of Jesus being the 13th member to sit at the table. Now, another historical event often associated with superstition is the arrest of the Knights Temple on Friday, October 13th, 1307. That's what you were talking about.
That's what I was talking about. Sorry, wrong thing.
King Philip, I'm not very good with Roman numerals, but it's an I and a V, which either means 4 or 6, I don't know, of France ordered the arrest of the Knights Templar, leading to their torture and execution. This event further cemented the day's association with misfortune. I mean, it associates with me people's desire to do something unfortunate on a day that people already think about like that. But you can't make yourself have a seizure walking to breakfast.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Did you think about it like it was a superstitious kind of like vibe thing after the second time or the third time?
No, not really. Because like I said, there was the Friday the 13th in there that I missed that was due to a car accident. It was like 2 days before. So it wasn't actually on Friday the 13th. It was December 11th or something. So
that one broke you free. You're like, if there was something to this Friday the 13th thing, I would have had my accident on Friday. That's all. I like the way you think. Seizure happens. Somebody pulls out. I mean, what are we talking about? Like that? Is it even?
Mom ran to the fridge. Actually, she tilted the head, made sure I didn't hit my head too hard, make sure I didn't choke on the tongue, and had Dad get the glucagon out of the fridge and went through the craziness of those old glucagon kits to inject me.
Yeah. Did they bring you out of it?
No, I don't remember anything until I woke up at the hospital.
Okay. Well, you were alive, so
yeah,
good enough. And then, do you stay in the hospital long? Do you recall?
I was out by that night.
Like, how do they talk about it back then? Because, like, if that happened now, you'd be like, oh, okay, I see what happened here. I bolused here for this, and that happened, and then maybe I had some extra. But did they talk to you about it like that?
Oh, I guess your NPH is acting too much. So I think they backed off my nighttime NPH after that a little bit.
Do you recall if that was unsettling to you, not to have an answer?
At the time, no. I was just like, make it stop.
How old are you at that point?
The first one would have been 15.
And then you had one the next year?
I probably had 2 that year, and then 1 the following year, and 1 my senior year.
And they used glucagon for you every time?
Yes.
Did you have a different outcome from the glucagon? Did you ever not have to go to the hospital, for example?
No. I always ended up in the emergency room.
I just did an interview with somebody who used Gvoke HypoPen at work for a seizure. And I said, my follow-up question was about, like, going for medical care. And she goes, no, I went back to work. I was like, she's like, she just went back to her desk and kept working. I was like, wow.
Well, when you're in your teens, I guess your parents are a little more cautious.
Yeah. The first time it happened to Arden, she's a baby. She was like 2. And we obviously went to the hospital afterwards. But even while we were sitting in the emergency room, I remember my wife and I talking and saying, I don't feel like we need to be here.
Well,
but you didn't know any better,
I didn't know any better, but the time post-college that I had a seizure, my parents did use glucagon, called the 911, and I refused the hospital because I didn't like the outcome. So
okay.
I didn't like the way I felt after. I was talking to my mom about it last night, and she said, yeah, you just refused because you knew what happened, and you told them you knew what happened, and you just didn't want to go.
When you say you knew what happened, what do you mean by that?
That last one, it was after college graduation. I worked a second, third shift double with the job I was at. And I obviously didn't have the insulin down correctly before I went to bed.
Okay. And then what happened when you got to the hospital that you didn't enjoy?
I don't know for sure because I don't remember testing for ketones, but I'm thinking because I didn't have, they weren't giving me any insulin because my blood sugar was so low.
Oh.
I think I may have tipped over to DKA at some point because I had the nausea, the vomiting, the super bad headache.
So you think that the hospital gave you DKA by restricting your insulin?
Correct.
And that's why you didn't want to go back. I got you. Okay. Gosh, I don't want to tease this out at all. What is your current health situation?
I felt some lumps in my neck a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they've actually been looking at my thyroid over the last few years because I have a couple of nodules. Yeah. And my dad actually passed away from medullary thyroid cancer.
How long ago?
16, 17 years ago.
Okay. How old was he?
He was 64.
And you are how old?
I'll be 49.
Okay. And you have Hashimoto's, diagnosed?
No. They felt something in my thyroid. So they did an ultrasound. They found some.
The nodules?
Yeah, they found nodules, but they were too small to biopsy. But then, so I've been going every 1 to 2 years for follow-ups on that. And about a month before my primary care annual exam, I felt some lumps on the right side of my neck, up around the jawline. So I brought that up to her just because that's actually where they found how they diagnosed Dad's thyroid cancer was the lymph nodes. So she did a basic ultrasound of the lumps in the neck, and those came back unconfirmed as to what they were. So they recommended a CT scan. So I don't recommend going for a CT scan on the day after a holiday and before a weekend, because when the results come back odd, you start getting crazy messages and you can't do anything on them. Last Monday, we got the referral to go to the ENT. Went to the ENT yesterday, had my neck biopsied for 3 lymph nodes.
Okay.
So no idea what they are. It may be cancer, it may not. It's still in the craziness, but obviously it's playing some havoc with the stress and blood sugars.
Oh, holy hell. Melissa, this is last week?
Yeah.
Oh.
This has all been in the last couple of weeks. And the biopsy was yesterday.
Oh, my God. So right now, you are waiting for the results of a biopsy?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I didn't know.
There's nothing you can do.
No,
it's just a waiting game. And
yeah. Oh, Melissa, listen, I'm sorry. Like, in the human way, like I didn't actually do anything wrong. Are you freaking out?
I'm freaking out, and I'm seeing it in my blood sugars, obviously.
How much?
The day after the CT scan was probably the worst because my endo actually got results before I got them in my chart, and she's not even in the system where the CT scan was done. And she called me that Friday saying, "Oh yeah, you're going to have to go for a fine needle aspiration on the lymph node." And she's not in the system. So how did she get the results? She wasn't the doctor who ordered it. So then I had to wait until Saturday before I got something in my chart saying what the results were. And the first thing they sent was a note saying, contact your PCP as soon as possible, because we found abnormalities and our radiologists are trained to look for things that aren't necessarily what you were expecting for them to look for. And then about an hour and a half later, the CT results came into my chart. So I got to read all the craziness of what they were thinking.
Oh my gosh. And what did they make any pronouncements?
They said that the lymph nodes were not a focal point. So if it is cancer, probably metastatic from something, either skin or head and neck.
Okay. My God. How much other, if any, cancer is in your family line?
My maternal grandfather had lung cancer, but he smoked up until he was probably 60 years old.
Did he smoke through the cancer?
No, he was 85 when he passed away.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, he's not a bad run for having lung cancer.
That's right.
So, oh my God. So wait, do you have kids?
I do not.
Do you have, you got the boy that likes to make fun of you, right?
Yes.
Okay. No kids on purpose?
No kids on purpose.
Okay. Because you hate children? Tell people.
I do not hate children. My husband hates children.
Okay. I was expecting you to say no to that completely. Upsetting for you?
The no kids?
Yeah, that he hates. Yeah.
We came into the marriage knowing that there were no expectations for children.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I also had the history of seizures, so I was kind of scared for the diabetes. I wasn't sure what was in the future.
When's the last time you had a seizure from your blood sugar, though?
Probably when I was working second and third shifts.
But years ago. How many years?
20.
Oh, okay. You have a more modern glucagon now, I imagine?
I do have Gvoke.
Thank you.
And I am now on a pump. I've been on a pump since... Oh, my pump story. I got...
Wait, hold on a second. Melissa, you just distracted yourself. That was fascinating. Let's get to this part first. If there's any truth to this next statement, please just agree with a lot of jubilation. I'm the reason you have Gvoke HypoPen.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just want them to hear that. Now,
you're also the reason I have a Dexcom.
Oh, really? Please list all the other sponsors who should stay with me.
Sorry, I'm not on Omnipod. I'm on Tandem.
That's all right. Well, maybe we could get Tandem. Did I have anything to do with that? My Facebook group, maybe.
Medtronic forced my hand into Tandem.
Oh, Medtronic, you guys. Okay, well, Medtronic's the sponsor, so.
I know.
Yeah.
I did stay with Medtronic for 25 plus years.
That's a long time. Were you happy with it through that time?
Yeah. I think the biggest reason I switched from Medtronic was my reaction to their sensor.
What was the reaction? Oh my God, don't stab me with that.
No, it was only a 7-day sensor and I was lucky to get 5 days out of it. And and massive skin irritation.
That
The
sucks.
pulling off of skin when you remove the sensor.
Holy hell, like in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're about to release their new sensor, which
I know. My doctor wants me to switch over from Tandem to Medtronic but I'm holding off until that newest sensor comes out.
so that's super interesting. I know people are like, Scott, you're in the middle of asking about cancer, but usually I get away from the diabetes stuff to talk about other stuff. And this time you're like, let me talk about my possibilities for cancer. And I'm like, wait a minute, what about this pump situation?
Oh, I started it because I said I have a pump story.
Oh, you distracted me and yourself. Why does your doctor want you to, are you not having success with Tandem? And what is that, G7 or G6?
Actually, I'm on my first G7 right now.
Okay.
I am having success. My last A1C was a 6.2.
What the hell are we switching for?
She thinks that I put too much energy into some corrections. So she likes the idea of the lower target rate on the Medtronic at 100 for me so that I have less mental distraction.
Do you feel distracted?
At times.
You do. Did you bring this up to her or did she tell you this is how you felt?
I had gone to a JDRF thing.
I think it's called breakthrough. Wait, what do they call it now?
Breakthrough T1D?
Yeah.
Or T1D breakthrough?
They might have wanted to workshop that another 5 minutes, but okay. Yeah. I can't remember it. I said JDRF to somebody in a recording yesterday and they were like breakthrough T1D. And I was like, don't look for me to understand that anytime soon. Okay. So you went to an event. I'm sorry.
And I was just kind of going through the vendors and talked to somebody from Medtronic. And we were talking about the new sensor and how it was going to look a little similar to the G7 and what the results were in Europe. And also with the Medtronic, with the lower
target.
Yeah. She went and gave me the information. And then I was going to, like a week later, I had an endo appointment and she's like, what do you think? I'm like, actually, I was just going to talk to you about that. I have another 6 to 9 months on Tandem before my warranty's up, but I'm thinking about it. She's like, okay. I'm like, I'd like to try the sensor when it comes out and gets FDA approval before I commit. And I think that's going to be the biggest sticking point is how I react to the sensor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you're going to give it a try?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea? I'm trying to find out if they have approval yet for their new.
I think they're forecasting like November, December.
Medtronic has received FDA approval for their latest continuous glucose monitor system, the MiniMed 780G. We know that. That was 2023. No, this is not what I wanted to know. I've been let down by our overlords. Should I say no, overlord? That's not what I'm asking you. Do you think it would?
I don't know.
Let's try that real quick. No, overlord. I want to know about the newest CGM.
I know it has European approval, but it hasn't been approved in the US yet.
Oh, it found it. It doesn't mention that I called it an overlord, though. Medtronic's latest CGM system is the Simplera Sync trademark.
Yes.
Which is designed to work with the MiniMed 780G, which I do hear good things about from people. The Simplera Sync trademark is a disposable all-in-one CGM that eliminates the need for finger sticks and overtapes. Really? Offering a simpler and faster two-step insertion process that takes less than 10 seconds. Oh, okay. It's received its CE mark approval in Europe and expected to be available in Europe, blah, 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 which it is, we know, in the summer of 2024. However, it has not yet received FDA approval for the use in blah, blah. I guess it's in the works right now, as far as
yes,
yeah, this is concerned. Okay. Also, what you told me, so didn't really need that at all. But you liked the Medtronic. You'd like to go back to it.
I did. I wouldn't have especially if it targets 100. I would be ecstatic to go back.
Is it that simple? I don't mean to cut you off, but like Jenny always, when I asked Jenny, like, if you could change the world, Jenny, what would you change? She was always like, I never understand why someone doesn't make an insulin pump that has the best features from all of the insulin pumps.
I don't like the touch screen on the Tandem. My fingers get clumsy. I'm getting older. I find it somewhat cumbersome, actually, sometimes because I get out of the shower and I don't mean to. I take it off pause after I get out of the shower, but I don't mean to initiate a bolus. And next thing I know, I'm getting a bolus incomplete alert. And it's annoying. So
Okay.
And I also missed the old, just fill up the syringe and throw it in the pump as opposed to fill up the syringe and insert it into the cartridge. And then it's less cumbersome to me.
Yeah. Hey, listen, what's good for you is what's best, obviously. But I love that you're like, it's my big, dumb old fingers. And so I have to tell you, I was running behind for this today with you, and I wanted to send you a text to let you know I was running behind. I hope you got that.
I did. About 30 seconds before you hopped on, I sent you a thumbs up.
Oh, okay, cool. Just for everyone to know, if you've ever received a text from me, it's from a burner phone, and please, I don't ever look at it. I had to unlock the phone, and I only have like a 4-number like code on it, but I didn't have my glasses on because I'm old, and I'm like, I don't know if you've ever had this before, where like you type too many numbers, but you got a wrong one in there, so it's like, not only did you get the code wrong, but now there's an inserted number already. And then I go back to the beginning and start over. And so I get it wrong 3 times in a row or whatever. And the phone's like, I'm sorry, like, try again in 1 minute. I was like, what the? And I felt I felt exactly the way you described. Like, oh my God, I'm so dumb and big and lumpy and old. I couldn't put numbers into the front of a phone. It's exactly how I felt. I just put it down. I styled my hair instead while I waited for the minute. I could feel myself getting irritated, but if I'm messing with a pump every day and I'm having that experience, I'd switch to. Listen, Medtronic, again, I think, this stuff is it runs in a big cycle, right? So Medtronic comes out first with their algorithm, and fair enough, it was on that old CGM that people don't seem to enjoy. And the algorithm itself was like a first shot, and people are like, it's not great. And then, what happens next? Is it basal IQ maybe comes next? And then, like people are like, oh, okay, it shuts off your basal if you're going to get low. That's nice. And, then all of a sudden they have control IQ, and now there's Omnipod 5, and then there's iLet, and like all this stuff starts piling up. Meanwhile, Medtronic's been working on a new CGM, and they obviously heard people say things like, don't stab me with that, please. And like, and like try to get that worked out. But I don't know that we ever take the time to, and I break Medtronic's balls all the time here. Like, even though they're a sponsor, I still will talk about this stuff. They know that. It's, I don't think it's a big secret to them. And it's not a big secret to anybody who's used it. But they went back and said, hey, well, let's fix this.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be a little ahead again because they're listening to what people don't like about other systems. And they probably said, it seems important to have a lower target. We should probably work on that.
Well, I can't badmouth Medtronic too much because they did send me to California for a couple of days.
Well, that's not okay. That shouldn't be like that. Why did they send you? You don't speak well about people because they're paying you. Like, wait, what's going on?
No, wait. But I got to tour their facility. They actually interviewed me, and I showed them what their sensor did to me.
Oh, they brought you out to be to show you something that you didn't enjoy. What did it do to you? They're like, right now, the people who pay me are like, don't ask her what it did, but I'm asking, what did it do?
No, just the pulling off of the skin and the actually like quarter-sized lumps under the CGM site.
They actually wanted to see it in person.
No, it wasn't so much that they wanted to see that in person. They had some contest going with their first algorithm pump, which I was on. I just kept entering all my blood sugars and putting in the information, and I'm thinking I'll never win a prize. And I got the grand prize for us. It was a all expenses trip to California for a few days and a fishing trip. And
finally, this diabetes thing is paying off. I hear you.
Exactly.
Well, okay. Well, lovely. Very nice, Medtronic. I know no one's ever taken me fishing, but that's neither here nor there. By the way, if someone offers to take me fishing, like if they heard that just now and they're like, we could take, please don't. I don't want to go. Leave me alone.
Well, they had a couple of different excursions. We picked the one that would fit my husband best. So he would go happily.
This guy, he gets to pick the kids and the excursion?
He does.
Wow.
He puts up with my butt.
Wait, what's wrong with your butt?
Nothing. He just puts up with me.
Oh, you. I thought you I thought you were going to tell me, look, I have a very strange butt and he puts up with it, but that was not what you were saying. Gotcha.
No. He just puts up with me.
Oh my God. Well, please. By the way, I don't want you thinking about yourself that way. What are you doing that needs to be put up with?
Like I said, we've been married for a while, and he was around when I did have some of my seizures on second and third shift. So he saved my life a couple times. And
well, that's lovely.
Yeah.
But you feel like you owe him?
He's kept me alive.
Hey, listen, if my wife's listening, it'd be nice if you acted like you owed me once in a while. You know what I mean? Just like, I'm not saying every day or anything like that, but maybe like once a year on my birthday or something. It'd be, take Melissa's attitude.
We don't do birthdays. We don't do Christmas. We give each other a hands up when we can.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Well, and I don't need it on a certain day. Kelly, if you're listening, just, hear what Melissa's saying? See how nice it sounds? Jeez. I'm not teasing her. I probably would like that, but at the time, I don't expect it is what I'm getting at. Oh my God. All right. So wait a minute. So you might change back to, I confused myself too. You might change back to Medtronic, but what's your insulin pump story?
Okay. So way back in 93, when I was put on an insulin pump, it was like 3 days in the hospital to get me regulated.
That's how they used to do it, right? They'd put you in the hospital to get your pump set up. No kidding. Okay.
And my roommate was also being put on an insulin pump.
And you're still best friends?
I have no idea who she is.
I thought
she was an older lady.
I thought that was the pump story.
An older lady
Sorry.
with a 17-year-old.
All right. I thought that was the pump story. Okay. Go ahead.
So, yeah, just the craziness of how things have changed where now you maybe have, you get a 2-hour training with a trainer and that's it. This was 3 days off and on with a trainer in a hospital where you don't have your normal activity, so they have no idea what's going on.
Which is better?
I like the more current.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. First, the thing they do is they make you sedentary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What if you're an active person and now they're setting up your insulin for you sitting around, then you go back to being active again and boom, drop through the floor low?
Yeah, what do you expect for a 17-year-old to be sitting around in bed?
Is that not so obvious? When they said to themselves, when the first person was like, you know what, there's a lot to train here. We'll bring him into the hospital for a couple of days because this is where the staff is. Because I'm assuming that's what happened. Mm-hmm. How come the next thought wasn't, what if they're track stars and we're bringing them in and stopping them from running for 3 days? Do they not know how insulin works?
I don't know if knowledge has changed so much in the past 25 years or what, but I don't know.
Interesting. I mean, it's very interesting. If that your whole story that they put you in the hospital?
Yeah, I've never heard anybody else say that they've been in the hospital for being put on a pump.
All right, Melissa, listen. I don't love that story. I mean, I felt like something exciting was going to happen. And then
it's kind of boring, but
nothing happened. Oh, geez. You didn't you were 17. You didn't break out and steal drugs or anything in the hospital or find a boy your age and nothing like this at all?
Nah, I got to watch my first pay-per-view while I was in there.
God damn, you're old. God damn, you're old.
I know. There wasn't much going on New Year's Eve.
Jesus Christ. Wait, they put you in there on New Year's Eve?
I got out on New Year's Day. Yeah.
What a bummer. No?
Yeah.
Yeah, geez. That's the worst part of the story to me. Hey, what was the pay-per-view? What did you watch?
JFK.
With Kevin Costner?
Yep.
Why? You were 17. Why did you pick that one?
There was nothing else that looked like it was good.
Okay.
And it was something my parents would approve of.
Were they there?
They were paying for it.
Oh, you had to call your parents at home and say, I'd like to pay for a movie on the television. Is it okay if I watch JFK?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Well, they came in to visit and I asked them, but yeah.
My kid called me an asshole the other day. That's incredible. It was playful and loving and all. And I believe my other kid said to me the other day, well, that's when I'm talking to you idiots. So, you're like dialing the phone, the ring, and like that. You get, mother, mama, hello. I was wondering, can I spend some of the family's gold coins on JFK? Do you want to watch JFK? No, I just thought it would be something you would agree to. How about that?
Well, nothing else really appealed to me. I don't even remember what else was on, but.
All right. Are you a big Kevin Costner fan to this day?
Depends on what it is. Give me Field of Dreams and I'll sit down and watch it. JFK, I'll sit down and watch it. But some of the other stuff, not necessarily.
You didn't like Yellowstone?
I've never watched Yellowstone.
What in the hell, Melissa? What have you been doing? It's too late now. He's off the show. I don't know how they're going to get rid of him, but he's not there anymore.
I can always stream from the beginning.
Wait a minute, very quickly, and I'm sorry to do this to other people. What Kevin Costner movies are no-go? I mean, Waterworld.
That was a meh.
The Postman, no, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, garbage. Let's say garbage. What else? Like, do you have like did you go see her?
I don't have a list. You can name them. I can tell you yay or nay, but
really,
definitely I will watch Field of Dreams, hands down, and JFK.
Are these movies that you've seen and now you know what you think of, or you've dismissed some of them because you're like, no, not that? I
dismissed some of them just based on description.
Okay. Really? I like you. Yeah. Okay. All right. I want to remind people that when I was a child, the cable company gave us a box that went on top of our television that we would change channels with. It was revolutionary at the time. It just had a dial on the front, and you just clicked it, and it had these like never-ending numbers, and you could click around. Now, my father paid the cable guy to go climb up the pole and take out the blocker that blocked all the pay channels. So he literally found a guy to climb a pole, and back then there was like a physical thing in the line that stopped you from getting certain signals. So he paid a guy to climb the pole, take the blocker out. So we got like HBO and like all this stuff. We were very poor, so this was pretty fantastic for us. But if you took a credit card size thing, I'm not lying to you, and slid it through the top between the face of the box and the top of the box, there was a gap, and you slid that credit card thing in there, you could get softcore porn. Remember, I was a child. You had to go to a certain number and then go halfway between that number and the other one and pause it there and then slide the thing in. And then you would see blurry boobs moving around. They weren't clear pictures. I want you to be 100% clear. And we thought that was like the greatest thing that ever happened.
Well, Scott, at least you had cable.
That's your response. I love that. All right, ready? We're going to go rapid fire Kevin Costner movies. You just go okay. Yes or no. I'm going all the way back to the beginning. Sizzle Beach, USA.
Never heard of it.
Chasing Dreams.
Never heard of it.
He was in Night Shift.
Never heard of it.
Francis.
Never heard of it.
Stacy's Nights.
Never heard of it.
All right, let's do 3 in a row. Table for 5, Testament, Shadows Run Black.
Nah, never heard of them.
Fandango, American Flyer.
Fandango is okay.
Okay, Silverado.
Okay.
Untouchables.
That one was pretty good.
No Way Out.
Nah.
Bull Durham.
That one was good.
Field of Dreams.
Absolutely.
Revenge.
Never heard of it.
Dances with Wolves.
I like that one.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I like that one.
JFK.
Absolutely.
The Bodyguard.
Yeah, that one's iffy.
A Perfect World. To what? Wait, what was The Bodyguard? To what?
Too mushy.
Okay. A Perfect World.
Never heard of it.
Wyatt Earp.
That was good.
The War.
Never heard of it.
Waterworld.
No.
Tin Cup, The Postman, Message in a Bottle. Say no to all 3 right now. Go ahead.
No.
For Love of the Game.
Haven't seen it.
13 Days.
No.
3,000 Miles to Graceland or Dragonfly?
3,000 Miles to Graceland.
You liked. Open Range.
Never heard of it.
I am a big fan of Open Range. The Upside of Anger, rumor has it, The Guardian, Mr. Brooks, Swing Votes.
No to all of them.
I agree. All right. Now we're getting to the end now. The Company Man, Man of Steel. Oh, The Company Man.
I haven't heard of that one.
Me either. Man of Steel, he was Superman's dad, right?
I do like Superman. So
you did like that one. Okay. All right. Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit.
He's pretty good in Jack Ryan movies.
3 Days to Kill, Draft Day, Black or White.
Never heard of him.
McFarland, USA, Criminal.
No.
All right. Here's a movie I really enjoyed. Hidden Figures.
That was good.
Molly's Game.
Haven't heard of it.
It's a good movie. All right. Let's say Let Him Go. We don't know. All right. Okay. I stopped there. And then Horizon just came out. But apparently, from what I read, he and his wife and 3 other people went and saw it. But I wanted to see it. But I don't know what to tell you. All right. So Kevin Costner, you're saying.
Yeah.
So it didn't turn you into a Kevin Costner fan.
No.
But it didn't turn you off of Kevin Costner.
Exactly.
The reason I went all through this is because when Arden was diagnosed, we had this portable DVD player, and she watched the same movie over and over again on the portable DVD player in the hospital. Sky High. Do you know the film?
I do not.
It's like a Disney kind of superhero thing.
Okay.
I don't think it was a Disney movie, though, but it had that vibe. Kurt Russell. Oh, Kelly Preston. The departed Kelly Preston was in it. Anyway, she watched it over and over and over again. She loves the movie. My wife hates it. My wife has this like visceral reaction to the movie. Like it takes her back to the hospital and she really doesn't like it.
Well, it wasn't a diagnosis thing. It was just something to kill time for something that I wanted anyway.
I got
so I guess there's no bad memories with it. I didn't watch it over and over and over again. It was a one-time 3-hour movie.
Well, yeah, you had to pay for it. If you wanted to start it over, you had to pay again. All right.
Exactly.
Just to fill out this part, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, gosh.
What's a great movie?
I don't watch many movies.
Really?
Probably.
Do you watch television?
I watch television, but it's iffy on what I watch.
What do you do with your free time?
I'll read.
Reading. Oh, books.
Yes.
Ugh. So much reading. I don't enjoy it. I'll tell you that. I don't like the sitting around part. I don't know why I don't like reading. I'm such a bad reader. When I was doing press for my book that I wrote, the PR guy pulled me aside and he goes, "Stop mentioning that you don't read." And I was like, okay. It's like, but I don't. I'm like, isn't it more impressive that I don't read and I wrote a book? And he's like, "I see how you're thinking, but that is not what people are going to hear." And I was like, okay, fine. Nevertheless.
That's why you get audiobooks, right?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Let somebody talk it to me into my ears. So tell me right now, like, I feel like I'm almost distracting you today. Like, I feel like I'm part of like the good work that is you not having to pay attention to the fact that you're waiting for results on something. How long is it going to take to get the results? Like, when do you get everything?
They said up to a week.
A week?
Yeah.
Holy shit. You and your husband have spoken about this?
Yeah.
What's our level of concern? Is he like doing crunches, trying to get back into dating weight? Or like, are you guys like, it'll be okay? Or like,
go back into dating weight.
Wait, what'd you say?
He's too lazy to try doing crunches to get back into dating weight. I got some insurance premiums yesterday and I looked at them and said, "Oh, I guess I should definitely pay these today, huh? Or before they're due."
But is that
He's
where
like, yeah, don't let it lapse.
Yeah. Is that where I guess I'm being serious and I want to ask you, like, what's this like? This spot right here. What does it feel like?
I think the fact that they were jumping so much this week or last week when the results came in, like I got the results from my chart. So Monday afternoon, I called an ENT to get a biopsy and it was originally scheduled for August. So that was really
because they pushed
crazy.
Yeah.
So my doctor actually called on Tuesday. She called me on Tuesday and was trying to go over everything. She's like, "I'm going to send an urgent referral for ENT and oncology. And if you don't need oncology, we can cancel. But you definitely need the ENT." So I told her I had it in August and she's like, "I'm glad you got it within a month, but let's see if we can get something sooner." And yeah, it was a month sooner.
And so that startles you a little bit because whatever they saw, they were like, "Yeah, we'll squeeze her in."
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
But the ENT yesterday said, "Well, it's only 3 nodules, so it's not terrible." So I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of.
Did they give you any idea about what steps are? Like, if it's not cancer, what is it? If it is cancer, what do you do? No, just, hey, go home and.
They said, they can't tell me prognosis or what treatment will be until they type it. The ENT yesterday mentioned lymphoma, which kind of scared me a little more than some of the skin cancer type stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Wow. This is it's like what is the word I'm looking for? Like there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing? Are you keeping yourself busy or are you actually like thinking about it and making yourself upset?
4th of July weekend, I was really getting myself upset. But since today's the first work day that I've had off since everything started. So I'm probably going to be a little more uptight, but I do have a meeting this afternoon, so that'll take my mind off it a little bit. So we'll see.
You've been talking to family? I heard you say you were speaking to your mom. Do you usually speak to your mom?
Oh, yeah. My mom knows everything that's going on. I let one of my brothers know because I'm kind of nervous around my nieces. I've got a trip coming up to see them next month, and I don't want to say something wrong in front of them. So
I talked it through with your brother first.
Yeah.
What was his reaction?
He's concerned. He's like, let me know what I can do. We may be making the trip instead of you. But he's like, we'll deal with the kids, and what happens.
What about your mother? How old is she now?
Let's see. Sorry, I have to do the mental math.
You're fine.
77.
And she lost her husband like 15 years ago to something that's scarily sounding like what's happening to you. So how did she respond?
She's nervous. She's, let me know if I need to make a flight up. That's her response to everything. Let me know if you need me to fly up.
Can she fly? She's 77.
She can. She chooses to fly. Since Dad passed, she's been a world traveler. She's been on an African safari, to Greece, all over.
Oh my! She's like, oh, this guy's finally gone. I can go do some stuff.
They did some trips.
They did some stuff together. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So right now it's a lot about like, what can I do for you? Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a feeling of helplessness for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. You're the only one who has to lay on the other layer of like, the rest of it. Although it's not true. I guess people who love you start to imagine the world, with and without you. And that's terrible because you're thinking about the same thing.
Right.
How about your husband? Is he like being goofy? Is he doing like boy stuff and like acting silly? Like or is he very serious about it?
He's kind of take it as it comes type guy. Since we've been married, both of our fathers have passed away. His mom's passed away. His sister's passed away. His brother's passed away. So we've dealt with loss. So he's just kind of, we'll see. We'll take it as it comes.
I'm so sorry. First of all, I don't know if I've said this yet, but I'm sorry you're going through this. It's, obviously horrible. And I hope you get a fantastic outcome. I hope they're like, oh my God, you have bumps. Those are just bumps.
This is just calcium deposits. No big deal.
Yeah, well, just do you like them? Hey, you can keep them if you want them. But my real question about this is because you've a couple of times talked about living in a smaller place, right? Like, I don't know where you are geographically. I'm not really asking you to tell me, but are you in the best place to have cancer dealt with?
I am near a very good hospital system.
Excellent. I'm glad. Like, I'm a bit of a snob. I live on the East Coast. Like, so I live around some of the like best cancer centers and like, that exist. Like, so is it good for your area or is it good?
It's nationally ranked.
That's what I want to hear. Okay, great. And then we're going to go in there and get a plan together and enact the plan and go.
Correct.
So your life could like be a whirlwind in a week.
Yeah.
What happens if treatment impacts your employment? Are you looking at how to take medical leave and stuff like that?
I have spoken with our company nurse. Our company's amazing because, our site of the company is amazing because we have like 4 or 5 type 1s on site, and the company nurse is aware of everything that's going on as far as that goes. And I spoke with her, and here's what we offer. We offer FMLA concurrent with a short-term disability, and the short-term disability goes up to 6 months. And then after that, long-term disability kicks in for another 6 months. So
you could possibly have a year covered where you can get some side of an income. That's good to know. I mean, I assume you know the company nurse because of type 1. You've probably had interactions with her. Mm-hmm. You literally have to walk into an office and say, hey, Becky, I'm finding out right now, but it's possible I might have cancer.
Yeah. Just because I know personally she's gone through it with
other people.
Some other people.
Right. But I mean, for you, you're having to tell your brother and your mother and your husband and the nurse, and like, I'm trying to figure out what it's like to walk into a room and have to say something kind of so, heavy to somebody.
I started it with, can I make an appointment to talk to you about FMLA? It was an email, FMLA. They're looking at a possible cancer diagnosis. Everything's still in testing stages. They know it's all in testing. They know nothing. So she came in. I walked into the appointment, and she was just there as an ear to listen more than anything.
How about for you, though?
It was nice just to get it off my chest, because there's some things you don't want to say to people. Mm-hmm. So I was a little less guarded, I guess.
Okay. That was kind of the thing I was wondering. Like, is it cathartic just to say it out loud?
It is.
It is. Okay. Because it feels less insane every time you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. So don't bottle it up.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because almost like, do you remember being like, I don't know, like you're young and something happens to you and you feel weird, but you ever have a friend who like breaks up and they're like with somebody and then they run around telling everybody their sad breakup story 1,000 times and then you realize they're just trying to like work through it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It almost felt like that.
And I feel like I'm doing that, honestly. I'm like,
That's kind of what it felt like to me. And that's what I was wondering about. Like, are you basically like on a like, hey, Melissa may or may not have tour, but so that you can make yourself not right with it, but maybe,
yeah.
Right? Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever have anything as this serious happen to you personally?
To me personally, no.
No. This is your first time.
Well, I guess there was the crazy head scare when I was having the migraines a year after my dad passed away. And they came back with an MRI. And while I was in the MRI, I saw the technicians jump up and sent me to the neurosurgeon from that.
And what was that?
It was just ended up being that my genes mutated so that the bone doesn't reform correctly in the base of my skull.
Oh, okay. But it looked odd on the MRI.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Well, that was good news. You're like, oh, is it just my mutation? That's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. Are you growing something like a reverse horn or anything like that? Or did they not say?
Actually, it was a lack of growing bone.
Oh, like a gap. No kidding.
Yeah, it looks like my skull has osteoporosis, basically.
I have a lump on the back of my head, like on my skull, that I've had my entire life. And this is crazy, but now that I've lost weight, my head has gotten smaller. And it's now obvious where it wasn't before. And I was sitting with Arden the other day, and she just kind of like, I think she was like scratching the back of my head. And she goes, "What is on your head?" And I was like, oh, that's my skull. It's always been there. I said, I told her, I said, my brain got bigger and it needed to go somewhere. So it had to make like a little bubble for it to go into. But it's so crazy that like of all the weird things, like, yeah. I wonder how many people's skulls have weird little malformations, I guess is what I was wondering. But all right. Okay. So what do I do for you? I mean, we're like at the end of our thing. Like, I'll ask you, like, did we talk about everything you want to talk about? I want to make sure I didn't skip anything for you. But like, is there something, like, I know there's
just
nothing.
Putting out great content, Scott.
That's it? I just have to make a podcast? Yeah. Oh, okay. I can do that.
There are so many days I end up really, and I'll be at work listening on my earbuds and just enjoy the stories, or I'll be running a test and I have tears forming in my eyes and I can't look at anybody based on the story, but the content's great. You always have the great personality go with it, and I love the community.
Oh, I'm glad. You're in the private Facebook group?
I am.
Good. Well, if you need any support, that might be a place to go.
Yeah.
I know it'd be a weird thing, though, to tell. Would it be a weird thing to tell a bunch of strangers? I don't know. Like, part of me thinks yes, and part of me thinks no. But I guess that's a very personal decision.
My Facebook postings on it have been very minimal. I told my workout group on Facebook, we're all type 1s and we work out together. But other than that, nobody else on Facebook knows.
You have a digital workout group?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We do our own thing, but we kind of throw, hey, hints, tips, how to control the blood sugars with the workout.
You know, one of the most rewarding things that happens to me that I never expected was like people will send me pictures of, they're like, hey, this is my friend. You know, we both have type 1. We met because we listened to the podcast. It's so nice. Like when people meet each other like that in real life, or even, you know, can form a group online. And
yeah,
it's really wonderful. Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I told you that we have like 4 or 5 type 1s on site at work. And I work in a lab that there are currently 2 people in. At one point there was 3, and the third person had type 1, and we were both on the same pump.
And that feels good, right? To meet somebody in that situation. Yeah.
You can bounce things off of.
If it ends up that you have cancer, do you think you'll look for community around that as well?
I don't know. Because to me, diabetes is something that I have control over. Mm-hmm. I can control how much insulin I give. I can control how I work out. I can control what I eat. I don't know if I have the control over the cancer.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm going to ask one last question. Is that okay?
Uh-huh.
Do you ever have any feelings of like, why me? Like diabetes, now this, other stuff? Like, do you ever think like...
I did when I was young, and I did when my dad was passing away, but as of right now, no.
Okay. Would you... No, wait, that was too morbid. I actually thought of a question. I'm not asking it. Never mind. Okay. Well, that's even weirder not to say it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Sorry. All right. I'm sorry. Then I'm sorry to say I should.
My husband, just ask it.
Is he there?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay. If you were to pass away at any point, do you look back and say, life well lived, feel good about it? Do you have things you think, oh, I should have done that? Are those things popping into your head right now?
There are things that I wonder if I would have been better suited at, like as far as career-wise goes, because college was pre-med, but I chose not to go to med school. Decided to do lab work instead of dealing with people.
Because when you say dealing with people, it makes it sound like you've made the right choice.
Well, not in a bad sense. I enjoy people. I enjoy giving them a little bit of array. But I still, I guess in order to do that and to do stuff like that, I'll just, like when I go to the gas station, I'll hold the door for somebody. Doesn't matter who they are. They may be younger or older. I don't care. I'll just hold the door. Maybe it'll give them a smile. So.
Okay. When you think about that question, you went right to like who I am in my working life. It's interesting.
Well, that's all I really have. I mean, I've got my nieces, and unfortunately, I don't get to see them as much as I'd like. And like I said, I still wonder if I would have been better
being a doctor,
going into nursing, something like that.
You think you could have accomplished it?
Definitely nursing. I'm not sure about med school.
All right. Well,
that was still, I was all in the ups and downs of learning the pump. And
do you think that this is a thing where you'll like a month from now be like, wow, I can't believe I had a cancer scare and I don't have cancer. I'm going to go to nursing school. Or a year from now, like, I can't believe I had cancer and I beat cancer. Like, I'm going to nursing school. Do you think you'll make a big change?
Probably not, just because there's always the cost of nursing school.
Yeah, the financial aspects of it. Yeah, I understand. Okay. Well, I mean, it's fair to say, I hope you send me an email and tell me how you're doing. And anything you want me to add into this recording, you have months and months to send me an email first. So if you have something that you want to add, send it to me.
At least 6.
At least what?
At least 6 months.
Oh, for me. I see what you're saying. Yeah. No. You have at least 6 months until like your thing will come out. So if you have any new information you want to send it to me, and literally this will stop. People will hear ads, and then I'll read your information at the end of this.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you hold for me for a second? Stay on the line?
Sure.
Thank you. The conversation you just heard was sponsored by Dexcom and the Dexcom G7. Learn more and get started today at dexcom.com/juicebox. A huge thanks to Omnipod, not just my longest sponsor, but my first one. Omnipod.com/juicebox. If you love the podcast and you love tubeless insulin pumps, this link is for you. Omnipod.com/juicebox. Are you starting to see patterns, but you can't quite make sense of them? You're like, oh, if I bolus here, this happens, but I don't know what to do. Should I put in a little less, a little more? If you're starting to have those thoughts, if you're starting to think, this isn't going the way the doctor said it would, I think I see something here, but I can't be sure. Once you're having those thoughts, you're ready for the Diabetes Pro Tip series from the Juicebox Podcast. It begins at episode 1000. You can also find it at juiceboxpodcast.com up in the menu. And you can find a list in the private Facebook group. Just check right under the featured tab at the top. It'll show you lists of a ton of stuff, including the Pro Tip series, which runs from episode 1000 to 1025. So I've received 2 follow-up emails since I've recorded with Melissa. The first one says, Scott, thank you for letting me share my C-word scare story as I'm going through it. I realized after we ended the recording that when you asked about my current health, I immediately jumped into my current drama. Here are the answers to some of your normal autoimmune questions. As far as I know, there were no other autoimmune issues in my family. However, as I hear more and more about LADA, I wonder if my grandmother on dad's side had LADA instead of type 2. She was diagnosed type 2 around the same time I was type 1. And I remember her taking insulin soon after I started on insulin. However, I hit the jackpot with the autoimmune issues. Along with type 1 diabetes, I have Raynaud's, PCOS, unconfirmed celiac. I have the genetic markers, but I refuse to do the gluten challenge endoscopy because of how ill I will get if I eat gluten. The update on my biopsy says no cancer cells detected. She's very excited. Thank you again for a great podcast. Let me share my drama with you and the listeners. She then follows up again. I wanted to give you another update to this besides no cancer cells were detected. What I didn't comprehend at first was that there weren't any cancer cells detected because only about 500 cells were gathered. And a definitive result requires approximately 100,000 to 1 million cells. So I opted for a full lymph node removal of the affected lymph nodes, an in-office procedure using lidocaine. That came back without lymphoma detected, but it was noted that lymph nodes showed extensive necrotizing granulomatous inflammation with no detected microorganisms. Without the microorganisms detected, the thought was to send me to a rheumatologist to test for additional autoimmune conditions. Testing for these came back inconclusive, so the next step is infectious disease specialist in January of 2025, which is when this is coming out. And so the craziness continues, Melissa says, but I am not as high-strung as the day we spoke in July. I can't thank you enough for listening. Please make sure you're subscribed or following in your audio app. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.